So first of all, I would like to give the broad kind of architectural overview, but it occurred to me that particularly for those of you who have never been on the Advisory Council, you might just be wondering, what is this all about? So I'm moving this about the Advisory Council up to the front of the presentation. And start it off here.
Stockdale, your opening statement, please, sir. Who am I? Why am I here?
So that's the part that I'd like to address first, and we'll go just briefly through it. Now, the Southern IPM Center, as with all IPM centers, our entire support, our foundational support, is from a grant from the USDA. And these grants, I'll talk about a little bit later how much they are and so forth. But basically, we are a grant project. So what really dictates what we do is what was in the request for applications and what we promised to do in order to get the grant. So in terms of the Advisory Council, I lifted these words out of our proposal from last year. So the Advisory Council's job, holistically, we use the Advisory Council to engage with stakeholders. And what I'd like to get across here is that there's really a three-way engagement going on. So you think about the old joke about we're from government and we're here to help you. That implies a one-way engagement. And that's unfortunately what most of today's call is going to be is, I've got a lot of information, I'm going to dump it on you. So there's a one-way arrow from the center to you. But what we want to have happen over time is, first of all, get the second engagement is what we really need from you is we need to learn what you know as a stakeholder in the region about the needs for IPM and how PM is coming along and what things should be priorities and things like that. So it's a two-way. You can inform the public IPM program from you going towards me. So there's two ways. But then the third way that we quite often forget about, and in the past we found kind of has been, well, I'm not thinking of the word, but we have stumbled upon this benefit that I think sometimes is the most important, is how well you engage with each other. If we can make connections between some of you on this call or on the Advisory Council that don't already know each other, it's going to turn out that you have mutual needs and mutual resources, and you can put them together to make them work. So really, three, arrows going all over these three bullets of people communicating in both directions with each other. Great. Lost the ability to use the keyboard to advance the slides. So here's our opening salvo, and you're going to see that there are two slides here of people we've recruited for the Advisory Council. You're going to see there's some slots that are unfilled, and I do want to get across that I try to not think of the Advisory Council as individuals. In other words, say Tom Samples represents the SARA 025, which is the turf research group in the region. I try to think of Tom Samples as not Tom Samples researcher, but rather as Tom Samples, our liaison with the SARA 025 group. So really we have groups on the Advisory Council represented by individuals. And you can see them here. We try to include the important land grant committees. Those of you not familiar with this SARA, S-E-R-A verbiage, that's just a kind of existing structure to put together research and extension committees across the region. And then other non-governmental, non-land grant groups like those listed below. Clearly we've started out with where we think there are big important crops here, commodities in the South. So Cotton Council, we would expect to have maybe United Soybean Board we've had in the past, and we've tried to engage with some others. This is not a closed list, and one of the things I'm going to ask at the end is who else should be on here? What other groups should be represented? Others that we've built into our recruitment are shown on the second slide, and these include at the top some of the groups that we've sponsored, often through grants programs, like the working groups we'll come back to later. E-extension communities of practice, and we've just got one example of the imported fire ants, but there are several others, E-extension, IPM-related groups in the southern region. And then other partnerships, primarily public sector, including EPA, OPMP, IR4, Southern SARE, etc. And these ones at the bottoms, groups at the bottoms, environmental and public interest, for lack of a better label, are groups that in the past we have not done as good a job of engaging with as I'd like to. So we've got to start there, and again, we'd like to open it up. One of the things we've tried to sell over 13 years with IPM centers is that we bring everybody to the table. You know, there's a wide range of people that IPM works for, all the way on the far end of the environmental group to on the other end, the far end of the traditional ag group. IPM should work for all of them, and we hope that IPM can be a place where we can work together and focus on commonalities, common needs, and make